Belt meat ass. Yeah, the Suns took the belt to the ass of the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight as they win 126 to 113. And don't let that 13-point victory fool you. This was an ass kicking. This was a teeth kicking in party for the Phoenix Suns based on their performance in the third quarter. It was an interesting first half, and I'm going to get into all of that because it was quite the surprising game, in my opinion. Second night of a back-to-back. You just beat Detroit. The Suns are now on a 3-game winning streak. The Suns have now won 30 games. It's January 30th. Their over-under was 30.5. They didn't win their 30th game until March last year. Yet here we are. No Devin Booker. No problem. So welcome to the Suns Jam Session Podcast. My name is John Voida, managing editor, brightsideofthesun.com, and co-host of the Suns Jam Session Podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network, brought to you by FanDuel, where I will say, if you wanted to get creative tonight, you could have said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Dillon Brooks is going to get one steal. I'm going to say Dillon Brooks is going to have over 23.5 points. I'm going to say Colin Gillespie is going to have over 9.5 points. Royce O'Neal is going to have over 7.5 points. And also Iguodala is going to have over 5.5 rebounds. You put that all together, that's a plus 1368 parlay. You put $10 on that, you win 136.84 cents. That's what your boy did tonight. So let's talk about this fun game, huh?
Session Podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
That's right, Jamsters. Solo pod. Thanks to Matthew. Thanks to Suns Geek holding it down for the past couple nights. I was actually in the arena, and at the back end of this podcast, I'll share some stories from Dave King's Bright Side night on Tuesday, and then the Suns playing the Pistons last night. Some interesting conversations and things that happened there. But tonight, the Suns once again host the Cleveland Cavaliers. A revenge game, if you will. If you recall that this is a team the Phoenix Suns lost to on New Year's Eve. And this is, kind of welcome to our house, is what Jornot says to his former team. And took care of business tonight, 126 to 113. I do just want to get the burn book out of the way because there's so many great things to talk about in this pod. But let's just get this out of the way. Oh, I hit the graphic, not the actual drop. I'm rusty. It's been 2 days off, okay? Jesus.
The Suns Jam Session. Burn book.
The Suns Jam Session. Burn book.
I see a lot of people in the chat, and you're not wrong for necessarily saying it, like Aussie Suns fans. Thanks for hanging out. He says, let's not focus on that last 7 minutes too much. Let's focus on what we have done to two of the best teams in the East on back-to-backs. Correct. But other people are saying, the last 7 minutes, wasn't great for this team, and it wasn't. That fourth quarter, ultimately, the Suns were outscored 34 to 29, and they were giving up fast break opportunities to the third team squad. Our third team squad was giving up fast break opportunities to their third team squad. The Suns had 11 turnovers in the fourth alone. 20 of the 34 points scored by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the fourth quarter were off of turnovers. So it really skews the overall numbers for the game. And again, for the casual fan who didn't watch this game and anyone in the national media who is probably sitting there going, well, the Suns won, but they only beat them by 13. It's like, dude, they were up. Let's see. I think they were up by as much as 33. They were up 33 in this game. So obviously you take it with a grain of salt or a margarita. Hope you guys are having a good Friday night. Or if you're in Australia, have Saturday going for you. Down under. But yeah, outside of that, the only other thing I had in the burn book was the Suns were stuck on 26 points for 4 minutes and 4 seconds in the first quarter. And I was worried in that first half about how this game was going to go, because it felt like there were so many opportunities for the Suns to really pull away, because the Cleveland Cavaliers were handing the Suns this game, right? They went into the locker room only up 5. They were up 52-47, but the Cavs had 16 turnovers in that first half. And the Suns had 21 points off those turnovers. But it just felt like, especially the way that they closed that first quarter, where they 4 minutes and 4 seconds left, Grayson Allen hits a 3. They hit their 26th point. They didn't score again the remainder of the quarter. And to their credit, like the Cavs were throwing the ball away. So they weren't putting an onslaught of points on the Suns and making them pay for the Suns' inefficiency shooting. But they didn't pull away. And I was worried about that. I honestly was. The first half, I was kind of worried. I'm like, man, you had an opportunity to put your foot on their throat and you didn't do it. And that worried me. And so that I write that into my burn book because it's something that worried me. Obviously, as we talk about the bright side and all the great things that went well in this game, we'll talk about what happened in that third quarter and how it's like, oh yeah, the first half Smurf half. I tried. The Jaylen Green returned in this game, and he fell down and hurt his back, but hopefully he'll be okay. But we'll get to that a little bit later. The Brooks flopping tech was not a fan of. Now, did Dillon Brooks flop on that play? You know it. I know it. He did. And I'm with K-Ray on this one, who on the broadcast was just like, well, you don't see it called ever. So, of course, it's called on Dillon Brooks. And it's his 15th technical now. We'll see if it gets rescinded. This one probably won't, but that's 15. I should literally create a graphic that just like lives in the upper right-hand corner. It's just like Dillon Brooks' face with like tick marks. And so we always know how many technical fouls that Dillon Brooks has, because it's ridiculous. Damn it. Why did I have to say that out loud? Because now I'm going to fucking do it. Maniacal me. But it was just kind of ridiculous, unnecessary. Dillon didn't have to do that. But again, that's the 15%, right? I'm not going to tell him to stop doing it, because you know what? Aussie Suns fan says flopping techs don't count towards the total. Well, if that's great, then do it all you want, brother. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So that's all I really had for the burn book. It's bright side time, man. This was a fun game.
Tell me the
Right side.
All right, I think I'm with everybody. First thing for the bright side is just the sheer fact that we had Jaylen Green back.
Jaylen Green. Green, 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 green. Green, 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 green. Green, green, green.
So obviously we heard the news today that he was not on the injury report. And being at the game yesterday, going to the pregame and postgame press conferences with Jordan Ott, he was pretty emphatic in the way he spoke about Jaylen Green and his availability. Like you could tell he was just like, he's right there. He's right there. And if you notice the way that Jaylen Green's been brought back this season, Mark Williams initially typically brings him back on the second night of a back-to-back, not the first night. So that's kind of your first breadcrumb, the first clue that the Suns have done this season relative to his availability. The second thing is, again, the way that Jordan Ott was speaking about him. And I forget who asked the question. It might have been Kellen Olson, was, like, hey, like what check marks hasn't he hit? And pretty much Ott said yesterday, he's hit all the check marks. We're just waiting for him to feel comfortable. Physically, it sounds like he's good. Mentally, and this is going to be a struggle for Jaylen Green kind of the entire year, right? Like he is a Ferrari that got their first flat tire, and he's just trying to and swerved off the road, and he didn't hit anything, but it was a jarring experience. And if anyone's ever been in a car accident, you know what that's like. If you get hit, you're stunned for a minute, and like that's how he kind of feels, just on a human level. So the medical staff looks at him, says he's okay. He's going through the mental hurdles, and now he's coming out on the other side of it, and it appears that he's obviously good enough to play. So tonight he ends up coming off the bench, plays 15 and a half minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc, 11 total points. He was a +7. He had 4 total assists as well. 4 total rebounds, 1 assist, a couple turnovers, but looked confident in the way he was shooting. and hit a couple threes that at the time he hit those threes, those were big in the game because there were little, 4-0 run by Cleveland. You get a 3 from Green, and you're like, okay, he looks good. He looks like he feels good. And then unfortunately, he goes up for a rebound, and Jarrett Allen takes out his legs in a complete freak type of move, right? Like he swings his legs and just completely takes Jaylen Green out, and he lands. It looks like just not on his tailbone, but like on his left ass cheek, just above it, next to the tailbone. So like that's gonna smart. That's gonna hurt. And here's a weird take that I have for you, my fellow Gemsters. Maybe that's a good thing, because if he has something that hurts other than his hamstring, or he's thinking about something different, and also you kind of saw it late in the game, he was playing a little bit more slow, a little bit more tentative. And I feel like in the first games in which he played, he was very explosive, almost to the point where it felt like that's what ultimately hurt him. Was he was so excited, he was so used to being out there and going full speed, his past, he's been full speed. He wasn't ready for full speed. And that's what blew out the tire. But now that he might have, kind of, I wouldn't go as far to say it's a hip contusion. So it's like an ass contusion. He'll probably have the availability to play, but he's going to play a little bit more under control and less, because physically he can't because of a different injury. And ultimately that's going to assist in gaining his confidence. That's where my mind went. But the great thing that you did see about him, and there's one guy on the Cavs who annoys the shit out of me because he's good. Every time I watch the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he's been injured some this year, he's somebody who is he's got a quick trigger and he can score points on you in a hurry. And it's the unexpected points, right? It's like the Colin Gillespie or Jordan Goodwin points. It's Sam Merrill. And there was a play where Jaylen Green went left, caught Sam Merrill, got a foul on him. It was his third foul. And I thought I'm like, that's what's going to be great. Once Jaylen Green is healthy enough to play consistently and starting again, is he's going to rack up fouls on the opposition. And somebody like Sam Merrill, like that's a guy you can target. If that guy's out there and he hits a 3 and he's got a couple fouls, go right at him a couple possessions in a row. Get that third foul on. Get his ass out of the game. So, again, it's great to have Jaylen Green back. Obviously, without Devin Booker, the way that Ott strategically and this training staff and this coaching staff is going to bring him on, combined with his injury history and this new potential for something that's going to slow him down a little bit, I think actually in the long run, it might pay dividends for him. So, all right, let's see. Before I go on to my next bright side topic, I want to give first a shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody who's hanging out here with us on the Suns Jam Session podcast, whether you're new or whether you're old school, because a lot of you guys are old school. You've been doing this with us for the past 6-7 years. So that shit's over, yet I still keep doing it. Real quick, I want to read what you guys are saying in the chat, but I'm going to retweet this out from the bright side of the sun count. So there we go. All right, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Do. Oh, da day. Green wasn't on the bench for the fourth. I hope he's good. I actually didn't notice. And if they sent him to the locker room early, good. Although Aussie Suns fan says the one thing you don't want coming off a hamstring is a back injury. Well, maybe if it's an ass injury. Nothing from Ott on Green yet. Yeah, they're probably doing the post-game presser as we speak. A bruised coccyx is what Dr. Gavin says, which is a bruised butt bone. And it's the worst. Yeah, I've bruised my butt bone before, and again, we'll see. And if it is the case, he says I really enjoyed typing coccyx. But if it is the case and it puts him out again, it's just unfortunate because again, the kid can't catch a fucking break. And then Aussie says, what's great? Getting a message from another Aussie fan who made it to the game from the host of Suns Jam. Yes, I was walking on the court yesterday for shoot around, and out of nowhere, an Aussie fellow is like, hey, man. Hey, mate. He's like, Gavin told me to say hi. And I was like, yeah, tell me he's a cunt. That's what you get when you meet me in person. I'm a jackass, just like I am on this show, because I'm just here to have a good time, man. Have a few margaritas with my pals. Everyone who's watching, Cheers, my friend. And I'm with John Carl C. Heart attack when Jaylen fell hard. All my group chats where it's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? But he stayed in the game, and again, that's probably adrenaline. But in the same capacity, like it's good to see him out there again. You hope that he gets healthy. And so another thing on the bright side of things, for those of you who didn't watch the game, points off turnovers, right? Now, granted, both teams ended with 22 turnovers. But as I stated earlier, the Suns had 11 of those in the fourth quarter when it was the scrubs in there. When you have Isaiah Livers and Rasheer Fleming both minus 13s, Nigel Hayes-Davis and Kaman Malawach minus 7s, right? This team in the last 7 minutes of the game just completely dropped the ball. But the Suns had 36 points off the 22 turnovers that were allotted to them by the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Now, this was a game where it was a combination of things because the Suns had 15 steals. So they forced some of the actions. Their defensive intensity was so impressive tonight, considering it's the second night of a back-to-back. You just played the Detroit Pistons, who are the best team in the Eastern Conference and the second best team by defensive rating in the league and physical. And it was so funny today. So before what game was it? ESPN. I was watching like SportsCenter / ESPN before a game that was coming up on ESPN, Orlando Magic versus whoever, and against the Toronto Raptors. And they had this whole segment with Mike Malone, former coach of the Denver Nuggets, and Kendrick Perkins, right? And it was just them breaking down. I mean, you could tell it's something that they spent probably about a week putting together because they're going back and forth talking about the Detroit Pistons defense and offense and just who the team is and comparing them to the bad boy Pistons and comparing them to the 04 Pistons. And then they're both standing next to each other like, let's take this into the virtual lab. And they like put on 3D goggles. And next thing you know, they're like on this it looks like a Nintendo Wii court, and they're breaking down a play, and they're doing all this stuff, talking about how great the Pistons are. And I know it probably pissed ESPN off because they had all of this clearly produced and planned over the past week, and then the Suns just butt fucked them last night and so they didn't mention that game at all. I'm like, well, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, well, how about you talk about what happened last night where the Suns, this team that you're talking about is physical and bad boys 2.0, they got out bad boys by the Phoenix Suns because the Suns were relentless last night and they were relentless again tonight. Now, granted, the Cleveland Cavaliers also didn't do themselves any favors in this game. And when you look at the numbers and you go through it, if you're a box score watching, you're like, oh, wow, Suns, great game on defense. It was a great game on defense. It wasn't an outstanding game because Donovan Mitchell was throwing the ball all over the place. He had 8 turnovers in this game. He had 16 points and 8 turnovers. And how many points did he have at halftime? Like 4? Let's see here. 5. My bad. 5. And a lot of them were unforced errors. Like the first play of the game, he's got a wide open Jared Allen underneath the basket. It's like Cam Newton throwing a screen pass. He's like, I'm going to chuck this thing as fucking hard as I can at you. You better fucking catch it. And it just right off of Allen's hands. There's another play on a high rotation above the break, and he throws it out to the left side, and there's no one there. The fan caught it. And it's like, so the Suns defense was smothering in some capacity, combined with the fact that the Cavaliers were inept offensively because their point of attack was definitely compromised. And Lonzo Ball had 3 turnovers. Tyrese Proctor, who I was a big fan of coming out of Duke, he had 3 turnovers. But the 8 turnovers for Donovan Mitchell were atrocious. But again, shout out to the Suns for converting those opportunities because that's the challenge with this team, that they can get the steals all day long. But if you can't convert those into points, it's unfortunate. I wouldn't say it's unproductive. It's definitely unfortunate. Let's see what else is on the bright side. So many things tonight. You know what? Shout out to this guy because he's been kind of slumping, and we need to give him his flowers.
Where's my dog?
Jordan Goodwin.
There's my dog.
Yes, Jordan Goodwin in this game found the 3-point stroke once again, my friends. Ends up going 5 of 8 from deep, 6 of 11 from the field, had 17 points, had 3 steals, had 5 rebounds. And it's been a tough go for him as of late. If you look at the last time he hit a 3-pointer was against Philly. He was 0 of 3 against Atlanta, 0 of 2 against Miami, 0 of 2 against Brooklyn, 0 of 2 against Detroit. And he needed to see it go in. And once he did, the floodgates opened. And good for him. He like I said, he definitely needed that confidence boost. And he missed his first 1 or maybe 2. And it's like, man, like if we're going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, you got to have people, and without Devin Booker, you got to have Jordan Goodwin step up. And once he stepped up, the floodgates, man, because not only everybody caught fire. Royce O'Neal was the same thing. Royce missed the first couple. I know because he was part of that parlay on FanDuel, right? I went to FanDuel, 5-game parlay. In fact, this isn't even one I made up. Shout out to So Says Jay. He sent it to me. And I looked at it, I go, all that makes sense. We were asking for like 7.5 points from Royce O'Neal. I'm like, yeah, he's been missing a little bit recently. He's due for one. He was due. He hit. Thank you, Justin. That's going to give me a pair of book ones, baby. See, that's how you do it. You go to FanDuel, you put your money down, you put $10 down on a bet, and you hit it, and you buy some book ones or book twos. I'm going to get those Spytrons or whatever. I saw somebody wearing them yesterday, and I was just like, oh man, those are good looking shoes. Yeah, Mark's 100% correct in the chat. He says Royce found his shot too. Started with an air ball though. 100%. What else goes into the third quarter? That's the story of this game. If you did not watch this game and you want to know what happened, the third quarter happened. As I mentioned, the Phoenix Suns entered the half up only 5 points. And in the third quarter, they scored 45 points. They missed only 4 shots. They were 16 of 20 from the field and 7 of 10 from beyond the arc. Efficiency, disruption. On the other side of the ball, not a good quarter. They still scored 32 points. But the Suns plus 13 them there, that put them up 18 going into the fourth. And from there they expanded that lead and then it came down. But I mean, that was fantastic. Just a fantastic quarter. I love that we've gone from chilling to villain. Because last year we were chilling. Last 2 years we were chilling. Now we got the villain. And it's just different. All right. Let's see what you guys talk about in the chat. I see a lot of Dunn talk in here. So I definitely want to read what you guys are saying. So let's talk about Ryan Dunn, I guess.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Ryan Dunn.
All right. I see J959. Don't give up on Dunn yet. His trade value is currently low, in my opinion. So Aussie Suns fans asked the question. Serious question. Is Ryan Dunn on the same level as Nick Richards now for trade bait? The answer to that is no. Great question, especially with the trade deadline right around the corner, right? We're less than a week away from the trade deadline. And I got some interesting thoughts on the trade deadline. Fuck it. I'll probably talk about them here. Why not? So Ryan Dunn's not on the same level as Nick Richards as trade bait for 2 reasons. One, Nick Richards is an expiring deal, right? He's a $5 million center. What, 5th year in the league? Sound right? Maybe 4th. And so the only reason you would trade him as a team isn't to acquire anybody back. You're acquiring a 2nd-round pick to somebody who needs depth at the center position, and which allows you to get under the luxury tax ultimately. Because that's really what his value is. You're not trade. Now, people like to get into the trade machine. And I'm no different. I'm just like you. I'm no better than you. I like the trade machine. It's fun. But Nick Richards really doesn't have a lot of value. Now, that being said, Ryan Dunn's not on the same level because Ryan Dunn is his 2nd-year guy. He's making half of what Nick Richards has, and he's still got a couple more years of him on his deal. And there's still opportunity for development for him. So, I see what people are saying, like J95. Dunn's athletic and long. And he does piss me off too. Like Mary says, Dunn is young. He's in a slump, just like Oso was at the beginning of the year. He'll be back soon. Now, I love the optimism. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I hope you're right, Mary. I hope you are. Because he does have everything from a deliverable standpoint relative to his ability to shoot, at least the form on his shot, his ability to be instinctive in his defense. That's what always was his selling point, right? Coming out of Virginia, we knew he couldn't shoot. We knew he was long, athletic, a good rim runner. So like if he's going to make points, he's going to make them at the basket primarily, right at the cylinder. But somebody who instinctually was a disruptor, and that's where he kind of fits in. So that's the challenge with him this year is I wouldn't say that there's regression with him this year. It's a lot of the same. And that's the unfortunate thing. Because when we look at Oso, we see how we see the vision. We see what Ott is trying to accomplish with him. And ultimately, he's making Ott look good by fortifying what that vision is. And that vision is like, he can't shoot. Yeah, well, a lot of centers can't, right? But he can run the high screen and roll. He can facilitate above the break. He's not a great rebounder, but he got me 6 tonight. But he can primarily hit, his value comes in guarding on switches. So you have that tool in your bag. So if you're playing a specific team and you know Mark Williams primarily plays drop coverage, you have Oso who can attack any high screen actions. And if you want to continue to switch and you end up having Cade Cunningham on Oso, yeah, he might cook him once, but he might not get what he wants once as well. Whereas if you do the same thing with Mark Williams, he gets cooked. Nick Richards, he gets cooked, right? That's his value. Dunn, you look at Dunn year one, all right, 6.9 points per game in 19.1 minutes per game, okay? He's averaging 20.3 minutes per game right now. So over a full minute more, yet he's averaging less points by 0.5. His three-point percentage has gone up. It went from 31% to 32%. His free throw percentage has gone up from 48.7% to 69.2%. What else has gone up? His rebounds have gone up 3.6 to 4.4. His assists have gone up. They've doubled year over year. His steals are up over last year. So there is progression. There's not regression. But I think within the confines of the season, we're experiencing some regression because ultimately his minutes are being cut into. You look at it tonight, total number of minutes for old Ryan Dunn there. I was like 29 seconds. No, that was just the third quarter. 17 minutes, right? 13 minutes against Detroit, 21 against Brooklyn, only 7 against Miami, 14 against Atlanta, only 8 against Philly. And before that, he was pretty consistently above like 17 to 19, to anywhere up to like 22 minutes a game. But he's kind of the guy who is playing himself out of the rotation because of a couple reasons. One, he can't shoot. He's not a viable offensive threat. And you see that night overnight. You want him to be an offensive threat. He's open to be an offensive threat. He's like Josh Okogie. He just isn't. And defensively, he's not as great as like if you're not going to shoot, at least be a pure disruptor defensively. And he's not doing enough consistently to be that defensive stalwart that we thought he ultimately was or could be. Now, granted, there's still time. That's the beauty of this. The key word to this year was patience. Be patient with the process. We're in the process of developing people. Kaman Malawach, Rasheer Fleming, Oso Ighodaro, Ryan Dunn, Kobe Brea, Jamare Bouye. A lot of young guys in this core who need some development. And so he's developing. Yeah, he's kind of hitting this snag right now. You have Jaylen Green kind of in and out of the lineup, so there's minutes that need to be cannibalized from other players. So I'm not giving up on the guy. I can be frustrated with him, but I'm not giving up on him. And he's not a better he's not a great trade asset because you're not going to get much for him. You have to package him with somebody else to make that trade sexy. But you're not going to trade him straight up for anything because you're going to get something back that's ultimately not going to be worth it. So, all right, long answer to a short question, right? Let's see. There's a lot of great comments, man. This is this fucking team, man. From chillin' to villain. From chillin' to villain. Yeah, like Saul says, we just beat the number 1 and number 4 teams in the East on a back-to-back. LFG, man, let's fucking go. Aussie Suns fan says, can we trade Nick Richards and Ryan Dunn to the Pels for Sadiq Bey? No. Why the fuck would they want our trash for somebody who's not necessarily trash? They could put Sadiq Bey on the market and get much more. Now, I did propose a trade on Bright Side of the Sun that involved the Pacers, and then they end up getting Benedict Mathurin for him. Some picks get traded around, none of ours, and ultimately we give up, Hayes Davis and Nick Richards, and we get it. But again, I don't think that he said just because the Pels are stupid. No, they wouldn't. Dunn will be fine. He has been really good lately. I don't know what you're watching. He has not been good lately. He every now and then he'll hit something, but I'm not seeing it right now. All right, so trade Nick Richards and Nigel Hayes Davis only. Okay, so here's what I got to say on the trade front. Okay, so yesterday I was at the game and I went down courtside and I was actually hanging out with PH and X's Espo, Greg Esposito, old friend of mine. First time seeing him actually go to a game, and he said he's like it's the first time he's been in the arena for a couple of years, and we were sitting down watching the game courtside, and who comes walking up and says, hi, Matt Ishbia. So Espo, myself, and Ishbia were just sitting there kind of talking, shooting the shit for about 5 minutes. And, obviously he thanked me for the work that I do over at Brightside. He reads all the stuff I write, which is terrifying. And, and I also just said, thanks for giving me a reason to be positive about this team, because it's easy to write about this team right now. I have this piece about Dylan Brooks from last night. If you like to read, head over to brightsideofthesun.com. Real interesting piece on Dylan Brooks based on his 40-point game last night. But then I asked him a question. I go, so who we trading next week, Matt? And he was just like, I like all these guys, man. Like, this team's fun. They're, he's like, there's Nick, for tax reasons. He didn't say that specifically, but hinted at that and noted that Jamari Bouye is another young guy and part of the core. And, and I kind of was like, yeah, man, like right now you got to focus on these freshmen and sophomores, if you will, because you don't have a lot of draft capital. So like focus on development. I feel like you guys are doing the right way with Kaman Malawach, and so that's where I kind of think we're headed. If anything happens, Nick Richards gets moved next week, and that's kind of it, in my opinion. It sounds like Matt Ishbia is kind of the same thought process, but again, like that's Brian Gregory's job. He's ultimately going to make those decisions. So let's continue to look at the chat before I go to subreddit. There's surely no one in this league who's taking Nigel Hayes Davis unless it has to balance a trade. Yeah. Hayes Davis is fine on this team, man. Everybody needs a 15th guy on the roster who's just like a good locker room guy. Like, we can't have every guy be amazing all the time. Like, he comes in, loses us fucking 33-point leads, Somebody's got to do it. Am I right? I'm right. Let's see. Again, thank you guys for hanging out. Jaylen Green hip contusion. Yeah, that sounds about right. Remember, it wasn't Jaylen or Grayson Allen had like a hip contusion. He was out for 8 games. So that'll be fun. It's like, damn. All right. John becoming big time in front of our eyes. So proud. It was wild, man. It was wild to just be sitting there at the game. And just, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm talking to the fucking owner of the team, man. It was clearly a coccyx that cost him. And Aussies just wanted to, he must be drinking over there in Australia land. All right. Anything else that I had on my bright side? I think that was it. So I think it's time to go to the subreddit stakeout. And I will say, I was watching The Dark Knight today.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session Stakeout is brought to you by Nettles Air.
Need a unit, we've got you covered. NettlesAir.com is where to go, brother. Call 623-444-4888. Nettles Air makes your home feel great.
You're goddamn right they do. Because you need your air conditioning in Arizona right now. Because it'll be fucking 82 next week. It's February next week. God damn it.
All right.
If Brooks drops more than 20 on 50% shooting, I'll punch myself in the balls. He is dog shit.
Well, Brooks went for 27 points, and he did it on 63.4% shooting. So I hope that guy's sack tapping himself. I'll punch myself in the balls. The fuck over. Oh, that's great.
These fans are wearing t-shirts. Man, what the fuck? It's 3 degrees here. I might have to move to Phoenix.
See, people watch these games and they're like, what the hell? Like Detroit, too. Detroit people are like the last 2 nights, like, hold on. Those people are in t-shirts and shorts and dancing around.
Get control of this bum-ass Brooks. 6 minutes in, and this douche is already getting out of control. Is Brooks currently the worst person in the league? I don't even hate Draymond all the time.
If you're watching along live, let me know who you think is worse than Draymond Green or Dylan Brooks, because I have the answer to this. Because I was thinking about this. So let me know in the chat who you think it is, and I'll do a few more of these, and we'll go back to it.
Dylan Brooks looks like the guy with the gnarled forehead on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Somebody responded,
Fucking Worf.
yeah, he's got some Worf to him.
How's this Lonzo, or has this how
Fucking people can't type.
Is this how Lonzo Ball's been playing all season? Gets the ball and passes immediately, and then sits in the corner, mildly active on defense.
Whatever happened to Lonzo Ball, man? I know all the knee injuries, but man, I love that guy UCLA. I wanted the Suns to get him so bad in that draft where we ultimately ended up with Josh Jackson. I thought him and Booker, I'm like, dude, that's the future backcourt, man. Like, anyways. So they're talking shit about Dylan Brooks, and then, of course,
we should just attack Brooks on defense or on offense and get his fifth.
Like, he's bullshit. Now it's like, dude, get him off the floor. So there's a phrase they always use in Cavs games. It's called a Cavalanche. When they score a bunch of points, they go, Suns-a-lanche. I like that.
Suns decided to start hitting every shot, and Cavs decided to miss every one of theirs. Not gonna lie, Dylan Brooks would be perfect as our 3.
The Suns Jam Session, Subreddit Stakeout.
All right, so I asked you earlier, who's worse than like Dylan Brooks or Draymond Green? Obviously, Dylan's on our team, so we love him for his antics. Draymond Green, we can't stand. Who's worse than him? And I have the answer, but I want to see what you guys say. So we got Laser Show 2626 says Jose Alvarado is the answer. Aussie Suns fan says the actual worst player in the league right now is Desmond Bane. That dude is out to kill someone. Didn't he like spike a ball off of somebody? Grand Theft Alvarado from Jones and Since 80. LaFlop from Keith Nettles. But we got a couple. Bane is bad from Saul. But there is the right answer, and Mark Brooks got it. It's Lou fucking Dort. Lou Dort is horrible. Lou Dort is a linebacker who actively flops all over the place and dives into guys' legs. Every time I watch OKC, and I've been watching a lot of basketball this year, probably the most I've watched, in a while. Like, I've always watched the Suns, but it's like a Tuesday night. I'll go on FanDuel. I'll throw a couple, $2.50 bets on something fun. I'm like, yeah, I'll just watch this game. Whenever I watch OKC, I am amazed at how that team plays, because the Suns hustle. And Dylan Brooks has his antics, sure. But like, Lou Dort aims to hurt. There was a game, I forget who it was, a couple nights ago, where like the game's over and he's getting in guys' faces. I can't stand Lou Dort, and it sucks because he went to ASU. Like, he's a local kid. You want to root for the local guys, but it's like not a huge. I hate watching James Harden. I hate watching Lou Dort. Isaiah Stewart, Ted Lubin said that. Isaiah Stewart's a good call, too. Not a huge fan of Isaiah Stewart. All right, Jamsters, it's time for the Jam Star.
Jam Star of the Game.
Jamsters, reminder, subscribe, rate, and review. Make sure you put on those push notifications. Set them to on if you happen to be on the YouTube page, so you know whenever we have stuff coming out. I'm throwing shorts out there all the time. Something happens with the Suns. I feel like Suns geek, man. Like I make a quick video about it because I find that a lot of people enjoy them. They want to know what's going on with the Suns. They're on YouTube a lot. Boom, shakalaka, whoop, there it is. You can follow us on TikTok too, at Suns Jam. I put some TikTok, or I put some the same videos out over there. And if you're listening to the podcast, first and foremost, thank you. Make sure you go over to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, write a review. We truly appreciate it. Jam Star of the Game is brought to you by Bubba Chubbs Cards and Collectibles. You can visit them, BubbaChubbsCards.com. Use promo code Bubba10 and go to their Instagram page where they're always uploading the new cards that they have available. I don't know if you're like me, but like I like to have my little cards running around. I'm just a collector, and I know Matthew told you last night the things that I got him for his birthday. Just cards, man. Buy cards, give them to people. You got a family member who you don't know what to get them for Christmas. Just give them a card. Cards are cool, man. All right. Let's see. Who do you guys have? I think we're all going to agree on this, but let's see. David Ray says Brooks is the Jam Star. Brooks is the Jam Star, no question, from Suns Fiva. The Suns equal the Jam Star from Saul, the villain from Sean, Bubba Chubbs, Nettle Sack, Jam Star, that whole damn rotation, not the last 6 minutes, the main rotation from Aussie Suns fans. Dylan is the Jam Star from Ted Lubin. Brooks definitely deserves his second consecutive Jam Star. I completely Goodwin, Aussie Suns fan. I like that one. I give this one to Dylan. Back-to-back nights. Just 27 points after a 40-point performance, and he's efficient doing it, man. 9 of 14 from the field. You get this Dylan Brooks without Devin Booker, it's exactly what you need, man. We just beat 2 fucking amazing teams back-to-back, and Dylan Brooks stood the fuck up, man. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Let's talk real quick about what's up next. Suns are playing the Los Angeles Clippers at home. Ends the 5-game homestand, and they win that game. That's a 4-1 homestand, my fellow sons of bitches. 4-game homes, 4-1. 4-1 is what I meant to say. Let's see. I think they lost tonight. I know the Joker was back, and they lost, and that was like their 4th loss in their last 20 games, man. They are insane. The Clippers are a tough out. And it'll be interesting to see how the Suns play them. We know who the Suns are. We know what their identity is. And we will wait with bated breath to see the availability of both Devin Booker and Jaylen Green. So I'm not going to predict what's going to happen. I just know that no matter what happens, we're going to enjoy watching that game. A couple other things. Real quick, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Dave King's Brightside Night. We did that on Tuesday. Fantastic event. Send over 400 kids to go and see the Phoenix Suns play against the Brooklyn Nets. They got a great game because we're playing the Brooklyn Nets. It's one of the reasons I worked with the Suns to kind of pick a game. I'm like, end of Jan. Ooh, the Nets. That looks like a nice game to send some kids to. But it was really a good time. Interviewed Rex Chapman before the game. Rex is a great interview. I thoroughly enjoy interviewing him just because of his candid nature and how he. I love a person you can ask a question to, and then they'll talk for 5 minutes. Just makes my life easier because I'm just trying to set them up, And he did. He was fantastic. A couple different questions or answers that he provided. And real quick, what I'm going to do. Let's see what I do here. Entire screen share this. So there's me interviewing for those of you who are watching. There's me interviewing Rex Chapman, and there's me answering a question. Or I can't ever be serious, man. Even when I'm interviewing Rex Chapman, I'm just like, well, But I mean, it was really a good time. So a couple different takeaways from here. One, my favorite thing that he said, he's like, "Hey, I'm surprised you guys didn't boo us more last year." And I said, "No, we didn't boo. We just started chanting for Bull. And that's when I probably made this face." I'm like, well, but another thing that he said, and I thought this was a fantastic takeaway. if you recall, there was the game in which the Suns were playing the Heat, and it was close late. The Suns were down by 3. And Dillon Brooks had the follow-through on the three-pointer and got called for a flagrant foul for hitting Aaron Wiggins, right? And it was like the second consecutive game in which Dillon Brooks had done something late in a game that didn't necessarily cost the Suns the game, but you could definitely point to it as a factor. They might have won had that not happened, because in that case, they get 2 points, they get the ball, versus the Suns, an opportunity to maybe get an offensive rebound, what have you. And Rex said, he's like, after that game, I went by the lockers, and Devin was talking to Dillon because their lockers are right next to each other. And he's saying, man, you got to stop doing that. And Dillon, Dillon, for everything that he is on the court, he is so mild-mannered off the court. At the post-game press conference last night, he comes walking in. He's got the game ball underneath his shoulder. And he just very kind of mildly and humbly talks about what he did last night. And it's like I said, very, just very mild in his responses. And I'm sure you've seen the post-game press conferences and such. So Devin's saying, like, dude, you can't do that, man. You can't put us in a position. And he's, I know. And it was an interesting story that Rex told, because for all the people who think that Devin Booker doesn't possess quality leadership traits and characteristics, you're not going to see them on the court. That's not Devin's style. He doesn't need to yell at you like CP3 does, or embarrass you like LeBron does, or be an asshole like Michael does. He leads in his own way. And for anybody who says that Devin Booker isn't a leader, you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong, but you were wrong, because he is a quality leader. And in that moment, going to Dillon Brooks and for Dillon to be receptive of his feedback, that was a very unique and interesting moment. So yeah, Dave King's Brightside night was fantastic. Last night, beating the Pistons, I was in the arena for that. It was great again. I sat next to Espo, who's there for the first half. He had to leave and go do the PHNX show at halftime, but just sitting next to one of your buddies and just shooting the shit, talking basketball, talking everything, and watching the Suns beat that ass was just really fun. And then obviously having that conversation with Matt Ishbia before the game was humbling again to be in a position where you guys know me, man. I'm a jackass with a margarita and a podcast where I just like to talk about this team. I obviously have a passion for writing, so I do a lot of writing about this team. But to have the owner come up to you and shake your hand, it was cool, man. It was cool. It's been a fun week of Suns basketball, obviously, because we're on a 3-game winning streak, and this team is in a great position. They've got 30 wins. Way before anybody thought. I mean, people thought they weren't going to hit 30 wins. And, there's a lot of work to do. But again, I revert back to that word, and that's patience. Just continue to have patience, man. Like we're playing with house money right now, and it's fun. And we're the team that nobody wants to play and everybody wants to be. Think about that. Go home and love your family.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.